Yes, my people, welcome back to Vinny's Voice. I'm fortunate to be joined today by JaisSportsTake. Jays, how are you today?
I'm doing well, man. Just, I woke up a little late today, but it's all good. It's the weekend for me, so I gotta sleep in a bit.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So I like to talk about yourself because you obviously create sort of your UFC and influencer sort of boxing content. What prompted you to begin doing this and start your channel?
Yeah, in high school, like my junior year, I started a podcast, but I actually did UFC. I didn't, but I did also two other sports, it's like NBA and NFL, and I only did like audio only on that. And then, uh, what is it? Like maybe a year and a half after that, I just started doing video interviews with like some other like small podcast hosts, just like interviewing them and stuff. I did that as like kind of like a trial run, because in the future, I don't know when, but I wanted to do interviews. And yeah, just from there, what is it? I did like a few, and then something personal happened to me. I had my like grandfather pass away, so then I kind of like didn't upload for a bit. And then on my what is it? Beginning of 2023, right? Because 6 months I
Yeah.
haven't uploaded anything on YouTube. I used to work at like this retail store. They didn't give me any hours, and randomly I made a Twitter account. And on Twitter, and especially like anyone who's like in the influencer boxing scene and like from 2023, they'll definitely vouch about this. Like everyone on Misfits would join like Twitter Spaces.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
got
for
on Twitter
sure.
Spaces
Yeah.
from there, and like I kind of networked myself into like interviewing people for like the influencer boxing scene. So that's like kind of how I got into the influencer boxing space. Always been a fan of it, to be honest. And then with UFC, I mean, I watched UFC for like 6 years almost, and
Yeah.
sometimes I don't. It's kind of hard to watch the fight nights now, but I'm starting to like just watch it just to make the content. But yeah, I mean that's how also I've started. I just made UFC content, just UFC and influencer boxing, just because. What is it called? Yeah, like Twitter Spaces, and then I kind of just intertwine the two because it's combat sports and it's related. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, it's
yeah.
kind of a long answer, but yeah,
No,
hopefully.
that's good. That's what we want. That's what we want. That's
All right,
really
that is
interesting.
cool.
Real interesting. So
Yeah.
obviously, um, when you first got into influencer boxing, did you first get in from like sort of the KSI Joella sort of styles, or was it when Misfits was first created? Sort of.
No. I followed influencer boxing for like the longest time.
Yeah.
I never decided to really make content and get back into it until I joined the Twitter Spaces,
Right.
because that like on Twitter Spaces you could like reach out, or like you could like tell them like and like ask for interviews and like kind of network yourself right there. So that's how I kind
Yeah.
of like started. It was like just like going on like Twitter Spaces like all day and just like ask people like, hey, like hop on my show for an interview. I was kind of annoying about it. Like, but looking back at it, I was like, looks kind of annoying as shit, but it worked out. I mean, it worked out just because like I mean I got like a lot of great interviews ever since. And so I'm really so yeah, that was definitely a very interesting time. And then yeah, no, but to answer your question though, yeah, basically the KSI Weller I've like followed ever since. On actually before that, I watched Joe Weller
Theo
and
Baker. Yeah,
yeah,
Theo
I
Baker.
watched
Yeah,
that. That was the first one. So I mean, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Obviously,
Mhm.
yeah, I knew about it as well, but like I was a bit
Mhm.
younger. But when I properly started following, it was probably KSI Logan Paul too. Like
Oh, I got
properly,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
But
fair.
yeah, so speaking about your interviews, you've got like very notable names such as you got Wade on the more than once on your channel, as well as Mams Taylor. So talk to me about having those sort of big names on your show, especially Mams Taylor. How did that work out? And how did it feel
Yeah.
like interviewing them?
Um. Oh yeah. No, of course. So I'll give you like a little like I haven't really told anyone about this about the Wade one, at least publicly. But my second ever interview was actually Wade, and like I again reached out on Twitter and like he responded. But um, what is it with the Wade interview? Wade, especially with like doing that for the second time ever. After the interview, like I remember Wade telling me that like that was like one of his favorite like interviews ever, like him getting interviewed ever. And that was my second ever interview.
Wow,
So I
wow,
got
high
like
praise.
really like that motivated the shit out of me to like keep posting
Yeah,
these. So yeah, Wade was super dope. I as someone, because like people know Wade for like, the combat sports and everything like that. But I've always heard him talk about different sports like American football, basketball and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I had finally the opportunity to ask him, in that interview, personally about like all of the sports. And yeah, man, he loved it. And so yeah, having Wade on was super dope. I know people aren't the biggest fan of him right now, but I still like Wade. He's a
Yeah, I like Wade as well. I think there's
yeah.
just certain I think there's just certain people on Twitter. Let's just put it
No, for
there.
sure. Yeah, I mean it's. I mean, again, everyone definitely has their opinion, and
Yeah.
you got and stuff. But with the Mams thing, Mams, what is it? I've always like when Twitter Spaces were used to be like very frequent. Like what is it? Like Misfits and Mams, they used to like let a lot of people up. I was very consistent to it, and actually, funny enough, my first ever interview with Mams. This is actually okay. This is a real like exclusive. When I first interviewed Mams, it was in person in Tennessee, right?
Oh wow, yeah.
So, but here's the thing, and it was like the craziest video, like because like in the background, like in the middle of the interview, Vitaly and Modine were like fighting, and so like they were going back and forth. Mams had to get
Oh
up.
yeah, I remember that.
All
Yeah,
of
this
this,
is
yeah,
13, correct.
no, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So then all this happened. My mic was muted.
Oh shit.
Brutal, absolutely brutal.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
like
yeah.
texted. I remember like I think messaging him or like told him at the event that, oh man, my mic was muted, man. I like I'm so sorry. I like that was like about me. He understood like shit happens with technology. So like a couple months after, I was able to get him on for an interview online, and then yeah, that's how I got his. And Mams was super cool. Just kind of like because he's the president of Misfits. He and I kind of made it. Like one thing I kind of did to make sure with the Mams interview is to like not only just stay on Misfits and kind of talk about like I guess it's like mentality within life. Like I really wanted to like kind of pick his brain about that because he has like really interesting experiences and thought processes in terms of that stuff. And
Yeah.
so I made sure I did that, and like yeah, it was a very fun interview to do. So I really enjoyed myself.
See, you and myself also being huge Misfits fans.
Mhm.
What would you like to see? Because obviously I asked this question to Ben. I'll ask it to you as well. Being American, Misfits already has a very developing audience. We'll put it that way. We'll put very developing audience in the States.
Mhm.
As a pure fan yourself, what do you think Misfits should be doing in order to attract more people in the States or attract the common Joe as opposed to those diehard Misfits fans?
No, I get what you're trying to say. I would say, oh, that's actually a good question. Shit. To attract the American people, I would say, like, well, I feel like my thing, and especially since like when I did work and everything like that, I kind of wish they announced events like weeks beforehand, just so I can prepare to go out of my way to these American events. But I feel like for like let's say any like American influencers, where like kind of do the events where they're from would be very helpful. Like if it's let's say like I think they had I remember there was a card that was supposed to happen with like DDG and YK Osiris that was supposed to be in like Florida. Like that's perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like that's such a like influencer like centric like area, and DDG is very popular. Like I think like that stuff adds up. But I think like with like the Albert Page Van Zandt, like that didn't really make any sense because it was in Houston. Neither of them are from like that area at all. Like it would have made it somehow would have made sense if it was like from wherever Page Van Zandt's from, you do it there. But I mean, there's also a lot of factors. I don't know. Like I'm not the one who's like running all the like missing stuff. You know what I mean? But I would say and I would if I have to say like my number one like gripe and per like what I wish Misfits would like do more. Maybe it's not their fault. I'm not sure. Just announce it like weeks beforehand. General cards, but then also like whoever's fighting on there. Like if Le'Veon Bell were to ever main event, like have that in Pittsburgh. Like that's perfect. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's like that would be my biggest gripe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that you bring up that sort of like homegrown sort of talent because I'm not sure if you know this, but I'll just let you know my thoughts as well.
Yeah.
Remember Misfits? If you watch Misfits 18, if you remember Lewis Bowden and George Stokey, I think a lot of people didn't know this. Lewis Bowden is actually from Newcastle, and the event was in Newcastle. And I remember, and he managed to bring. If you're not sure, do you know like Cal Freezy, like Chip? Do you know the? He worked like he had like close connections with them, so he managed to bring all his friends to the event, like all these sort of big UK stars, and as well as a good amount of people to the stadium because after the arena. So because after his fight, I saw a ton of videos, like all the fans leaving, and they all went and celebrated with him to like the pub. And then by the time the main event rolled around, it looked like if you didn't notice, if like the stadium looked like a bit empty.
Oh wow.
That's what I noticed. I remember I was watching about the highlights, like when Lewis's fight, it was like very loud, and then El Brook's fight, I remember I saw like the lights shining on the seats, and they were like kind of empty. And like same with what do you call it? Even the Derby card, Mitchell, and Idris. Ty
Yeah.
Mitchell being from Derby. Yeah, he managed to sell that stadium, but then after his fight, after his win, a good amount of the arena left, which was sad to see, and I think surprising because Darren Till's still like a massive name.
No,
But
for sure. I think maybe like they're prioritizing a lot more with like the online audience than like
yeah,
in person. You know what I mean? If they have like because like I did hear like a whole narrative about like, oh, maybe Idris and Ty Mitchell should have been main event. It's like I get that, but what about the people who are watching on the DAZN subscription? Maybe like the mass of them want to see Darren Till, and like
yeah,
that's what your like
exactly.
bread and
That's
butter
true.
is, like the online people. So it's like. Yeah, like I don't know. I didn't really get that. Like at least with the like Idris Ty one, I didn't really understand that just because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, sure, maybe the people who are watching in person left, but like what
Talk
about the
about like
people?
a wider audience. Darren Till is 100% a more sort of global
Mhm.
sort of global sort of star. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't like speaking of Darren Till, how do you think he's how do you think his progression in Misfits has been so far? Obviously, he's been winning, but I'm going to pose a question to you as a fan. Do you
Mhm.
think a problem with Darren Till is that he's too good? Because when you're too good, no one's gonna like. It feels like his options are limited for the future.
Well, I mean, for Darren Till, I think it's very simple to say that he's fighting in like the whole crossover scene.
Yeah,
And if it's in the crossover scene, I think you'll have the fights. It's not like a situation with like, what's the situation going on in, like influencer boxing? Like maybe like Saul Poppy, where it's like it's a bit harder maybe to find him a
yeah,
fight with the influencer boxing scene because he's just too fucking good. And then like unlike Darren Till, since he came from MMA, he's going into the crossover scene. Like it makes like what is it? I think he has his options a lot more open than I feel like others. My
yeah.
personal opinion. But he's been killing it though. Like he's definitely been killing it with this. Oh, with the January card and the May card. Like I love watching Darren Till. He's a super fun fighter.
Yeah, yeah. I love watching Darren as well. Especially, he's a Scouser as well. Scousers are quite funny as well. People from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would like to move this back to sort of your own personal sort of
Mhm.
influence.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider stepping in the ring or one of these sort of smaller shows, such as potentially like a CFL, or I think there's other shows like
Yeah.
Outcast, Breakout, Outcast. Would you ever consider
Yeah.
doing that, or
Oh man. I mean, if I ever did, it'd be in the States, but honestly, like I have way too much respect for like the sport of boxing to like not really step in. A lot of
yeah,
that has to do with like honestly, a lot of it has to do with like I don't have a boxing gym like in a decent like driving radius near my
right,
house. Actually, the two gyms that are actually near me, I was talking about with like people like personally. There's like one gym for like $500 a month for 4 sessions
oh, wow, that's
for a month. So like
crazy.
one session a week for four, that's like 4 sessions a month. You have to pay $500. I think that's like ridiculous. I personally
Yeah,
think that's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, for sure.
And then like especially since like if I were to take like a smaller fight, like it's just just doesn't make sense. And then the other one is also just a little too pricey, just because I already do like other stuff to begin with. Like I just started doing jiu-jitsu, so like if I were to pay like another 130
Yeah,
bucks to try learning box, it's like I already kind of have like a lot of stuff that like I'm busy with to begin with, so it's kind of squeeze that in, and doing it consistently is a bit hard. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
honestly, like I never say never, but it's like a 99.9% now. Like you know what I mean? So.
I mean, you never know. The offer may come, and if the money's right, you you would
Oh
take
yeah, I
it.
mean
Yeah, for sure.
that's different. I mean, if money's on the line, I mean, hey, different story. It depends on how much money though. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I also like I think what a lot of people like a lot of people do want to fight, but I feel like what gets talked about less about fighting and everything like that, people like wanting to step into the ring. Like, I want to protect my brain.
oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
such a
for
like
sure. Yeah,
important, you know what I mean? And it's like, how much do I want to personally sacrifice? I'm not saying I'm worth X, Y, and Z amount of money. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying about how much do I want to sacrifice like brain damage to fight for money? You know,
exactly,
I really
exactly.
yeah, like the brain is so important. Like all like the neuro stuff, it's yeah, all that stuff is so important. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
mhm.
But yeah, I think people like in the influencer space don't necessarily understand that boxing is a very dangerous sport, and if it's not
Yeah,
trained like properly, because people say, oh, they want wars, they want knockouts, and if they see like, for example, I'll give you an example, Lil Cray Cray and Joey Knight. Yes, Lil Cray Cray wasn't engaging, but he executed a game plan
mhm.
that a got in the win, but he also sort of protected him because Joey, his other two opponents, they knocked him out. He knocked them out clean, and he
Yeah.
didn't want to be next. So I think, in my opinion, that was a very strong game plan. But like, at for my point is just boxing is a very dangerous sport. If it's not trained well, it puts the fighter in a lot of jeopardy and a lot of unsafety. Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. I think but what I will say though, I think influencer boxing, yeah, like it may look like sometimes people like say it looks like a circus show, blah, blah, but I do feel like lots of people in influencer boxing like do understand the like
Yeah.
sacrifice to to that certain extent. Just because hold on. You know what? Hold on, let me turn on something real quick. My bad.
Yeah. No. All good.
Yeah, no, my fan was on. I was like, I don't know if it was getting onto my mic or not. All right, yeah, no. What was I gonna say? I feel like especially with recently, I feel like a lot of people do like really respect the sport. I just, I just feel like I think we see it with influencers now, with the big ones, the very big ones. It's like how much do they want to like get away from what their current life is, whether it's streaming, like making like really successful content, videos, etc to go and box for X amount of money and stuff. I think that's like the bigger question out of all this right now within this whole space.
Yeah, for sure. So, so obviously, if people don't know, you make sort of commentary, sort of videos on UFC and influencer boxing as well as some
Yeah.
interviews here and there.
Mhm.
What would you say is like the main goal? What do you want to get out of posting all these videos? They're like potentially gigs as a reporter or something like that. Like, what's the main goal from from
Uh,
from your work?
I'll say this: I would love to do like have you seen the people like during the like let's say for the Misfits show for example where they interview the fighters before and then like there's a post fight interviewers. I would love to. I feel like I would kill that personally. But in terms of like my YouTube channel though, honestly, my biggest thing in 2025 is to be consistent with videos. So 2024, with my YouTube, like I was consistent with YouTube Shorts. That was my goal to be very consistent with YouTube Shorts. Maybe upload like once a week on YouTube. And only missed maybe like 6 uploads on YouTube Shorts. That's like what yeah, I killed it in terms of like being really consistent on the YouTube Short side of things. So now it's okay. Let me be consistent on YouTube Shorts, but also be consistent on videos. So like I've
Yeah,
been going hard. Like I don't want to say that like oh I've been uploading every day on YouTube. Like and I'm gonna like start preaching that. I've only done it for a week. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
within the last like 9 days, I've uploaded every single day, and I
right.
want to keep it going because I feel like that. I feel like you upload every day and obviously make shorts every day. On top of that, a lot of people say YouTube's a game for like is luck at the end of the day, and if you keep posting out content like that, it increases your chance of getting lucky.
Yeah,
And one video hits, and that's like your, gateway of getting your channel monetized. So
right,
that's like,
right.
so that's my goal. Like my goal, pretty much is just to be consistent and try uploading as much as I can, especially being very small at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. That's really good. And also, I'll tell you, I'll just speak from like our, cause I managed to speak with Ben and BL like literally like just a couple days ago, like
Yeah.
with your goals. Like BL was like just try start small because a lot of people want to go Misfits straight away. I want to go here straight away, but if you just try strip it back, like start smaller, I'll say, oh, let's try get a gig here, or maybe go on a smaller promotion and then get the reps in, and then show that, oh yeah, now you've got experience, you can go, pretty much wherever you want. And I think that was like real good advice that he gave me. Yeah, I
That's
think.
actually the same shit. Wade, you know what's funny? Like I remember when I interviewed Wade, Sensei told Wade that like, because like he said it in the interview, so I could say it. He was like pretty like questionable about taking the Creator Clash commentary role, and Sensei essentially told him like, honestly, use that as like a resume to go forward and kind of like when he talks to like the bigger companies, he at least has something on paper to be like, hey, I did a commentary for this show. You know what I mean? So actually, that's like I'm glad he kind of said that because
Yeah,
like I really agree with that.
yeah. So we're gonna probably wrap up the interview here. So I'll have my final question.
Mhm.
I asked this at the end of all my interviews. What is the best quote or piece of advice you've ever received?
I got a few. I actually like that question. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the clips. I really love this question.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
thanks, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So one thing, one of my most important lessons, actually, probably my life that I've learned, was actually last year, and it was like whatever energy I give out is what I'll get reciprocated back at like 90% of the time. What I mean by that is like if I give like good energy to like people, I should get that reciprocated back like 90% of the time. If I give out like bad energy, it sounds like some like crystal shit, but like I'll explain it in like more human terms per se. But, like if I give out bad energy, 90% of the time, I'm gonna get bad energy back to me. And the example on like why I say that is because I tried making sure, especially like going out of my way to be like a lot nicer to people, especially last year and like the last I say last few years. And I got that reciprocated back to me when I met some of the people for the first time in person. Like they all treat me really well. And that's when I noticed I'm like, just to be like a lot nicer to people in general would like really go a long way. And like not starting out like especially like if you're meeting someone new for the first time, like not starting off on like a bad foot because like then you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just kind
yeah,
of closing one door. And then so that's one advice. The other thing I would say, especially in this interview, I feel like if you're gonna essentially just practice what you preach. I see a lot of people like online like preaching about how like I'm like the best content creator X Y and Z. I'm the most consistent blah blah. Like I should be on Misfits and third, but they don't even practice like of them being that like big creator. And I think that's like I don't know like they don't like necessarily practice of like being that consistent creator like that they say so I feel like I don't know. I feel like if people are gonna like preach about what they say, like at least practice it. Hints to why, like, dude, I'm a small creator at the end of the day, and I'm fine with that. Like, I'm still small. I don't go preach around being like, oh, you guys need to upload every day. You guys need to do X, Y, and Z, and unless I practice it. Like, if I
yeah,
practice it, then I can go preach about it and everything like that. But yeah, so I'll say that's my second thing. Like, practice what you preach because I see a lot of people online who don't fucking do that shit, and it's kind of funny. But yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Then honestly, man, really, really good advice. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
I appreciate it, bro. Hey, thank you, thank you. Hey, and by the way, I just want to say I kind of
Yeah,
asked to be on the show. I fuck with your shit. So,
bro.
uh,
Any interviews, bro. I don't mind. I'll interview anyone. So yeah, very, very happy that you offered, and I took the offer. So
mhm.
thank you so much for your time.